A fenced-in yard in the city. Good for pups to play safely, people to feel secure, and a safe haven for bees. Bees? In order to make sure the bees are doing well, beekeepers don special suits and smoke the bees. This special smoke slows them down and drives the bees into the hives so the keepers can examine all the frames of the hive. Yep, now I have bees in my yard. I did some digging and found out the buzz.
These are workers, the smaller ones.
There's no law against having a beehive on your property, and in fact, many places like the Children's Museum and other public areas now have hives on campus to teach kids about the importance of honeybees. Meet my neighbor, Bob Keaty, who introduced me to his bees. He's a newbie with honeybees, but through him, I'm learning how necessary bees are to our very life. And one of the things that happened here, since you've been my neighbor, we had a little drama. Your queen left.
It did leave. So it's important for beekeepers to maintain enough space for the queen to continue to lay. Okay. And sometimes in the spring, depending on where you live, it's difficult as they're bringing in so much nectar for the beekeeper needs to keep up and manage the hive.
Notre Dame Cathedral, there were bees and they survived that fire.
Survived. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
So they come home at night, they go to bed, they go to work in the morning, and they're just like us.
They are.
Both Bob Keaty and Jim Burnt, who is a longtime member of Urban Beekeepers, are advocates for honeybees. Does it help the fact that I'm on the canal? Does that make it easier for the bees to find what they need?
Oh yeah, it helps quite a bit actually. Bees need a lot of water. They not only need water just as a part of their normal diet, but they also need water to cool the inside of the hive, especially in the heat of the summer. Individual bees are cold-blooded, they're insects, but the hive itself is warm-blooded. The hive can raise and lower its temperature. And the way they lower their temperature in the summertime is by having workers bring droplets of water in and scatter them around the inside of the hive and fan across them just like an old swamp cooler.
You tell me true or false. Honey is the only edible thing that we eat that never goes rancid or bad.
That's right. Honey doesn't spoil under any conditions. It's been found in Egyptian tombs still in an edible condition. So honey does not spoil.
Okay. And also Bob alluded to the fact without bees we wouldn't exist. So if you say let's use pesticides, let's kill all the bugs and all the bees, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. Bees are responsible, and bees and other pollinators are responsible for a lot of the food we eat. Some sources say as much as 1 out of every 3 bites of food comes from an insect-pollinated crop, and the majority of those insect-pollinated crops are serviced by honeybees.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have heard, true or false, that the sting, when they sting you, that's a last resort.
It really is. For a honeybee, the sting is sort of the nuclear option. They can only sting once, and once they sting, they die. And so they go through a lot of other behaviors to try and avoid stinging. Honeybees are not very aggressive.
Okay. And they're so tiny and cute. They really are so cute. And I have dogs here inside. Yep. They don't bother them.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, my cats used to like to sleep under the hives in my yard because it was nice and shady. Once it gets down to about 50 degrees, the hive forms a cluster inside the hive boxes. It kind of looks about like a soccer ball. And they cluster together to conserve heat. Mm-hmm. And they will keep the core of that cluster around 92, 94 degrees all winter long, regardless of the outside temperature.
Well, I think it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
let's also call Bob in here. Bob, thank you very much for sharing your bee knowledge. And everybody, be respectful of your bees because we need them. We'll be back. We'll be back, see, with more on Pet Pals TV.